Okay, so in the last two lectures, what we studied, in the day first lecture, we studied about the introduction of JMeter and a little bit introduction about the workspace of JMeter and how to record test scripts. Yesterday, we recorded test scripts again, and we created few samplers. Okay, so now I'll be telling you about more about this thing, and then we'll be switching to the controllers. Okay, so now the main thing that is again procedure to open JMeter, that is you go to the directory where it is extracted. Okay, and then just a second, my system is a bit slow. Okay, so you have to go to this bin directory, and over here you just have to open this apache jmeter.jar, and just a minute. Okay, so in the last lecture we studied how we can record scripts, and then we generated a few scripts. Okay, now we'll be manually generating a whole script to to automate automate some scenario. Okay, say before that we'll be recording a test script, and then we will be recording it manually as well. Okay, so as to make you understand this thing much better, because if we move forward and if we start something else, and you won't be able to understand the main concept, because it is all about sending requests and recording those requests. Say if you're sending some requests, it should be proper, it should contain all the information that is needed. Okay, so now say again this is a test plan. Everything regarding a test would be executed over here. So I'll add a thread group over here. Okay, I'll name it as, say today will be say automating rediff.com. Okay, so this thing, and say now I'll open Chrome as well, and I'll open Firefox as well. So over here what we will be doing is that we have to record a scenario over which, just a minute, say we open rediff.com. After opening the opening this page, after requesting this page, what we have to do is we have to go to this money link. Okay, so what we will be doing is that we will be going to this link, and then what we will be doing, what we have to do is we have to say it is already signed in. Just a minute, say rediff. Sorry. So if I'm going very fast, you can tell me. Okay, if I'm going slow, you can also tell me that thing, because ultimately the thing is the things I'm telling you need to be clear to you. Okay, so see over here now, I told you as we have to click on this money link. After that, say what we have to do is, say we have to go to this my portfolio. Okay, over here it will ask us for say credentials. Okay, say the credentials are, just a minute. Okay, so credentials are these. Okay, and I'll continue. So what will happen is it will log in. Okay, so after that, after logging in, what we have to do is, say I have to create a new portfolio. I have to provide the name, say my new portfolio for, say, okay, or let us say JMeter. Day 3. Okay, so it should create a portfolio, and just like that, nothing after that, just this scenario. Okay, now what we have to do is I'll be recording all this thing now. Okay, so I'll be signing it out now. Again, this scenario is, I'll tell you on notepad as well. So the scenario is we have to open rediff.com. Then what we have to do is we have to open money link. Okay. And then inside that link, inside that page, what we have to do is we have to open my portfolio. Okay. So say after opening my portfolio, okay, it will be asking you for credentials. So provide credentials. And then after providing credentials, what we have to do is we have to create a new portfolio. Okay, so now this is what we have to do. So what I'll be doing is that I will be say starting a session, and I'll be starting with the HTTP test script recorder. So again, the procedure to start is use test script recorder is say make it available as right click over the test plan, go to add, then go to non-test elements, then HTTP test script recorder. Okay, over here we have to provide few things, that is the recording controller. Okay, so which controller we have to provide? We have to provide this particular controller, say rediff.com. Now we want to group samplers as well, so I will be grouping samplers in this transaction controller. Okay, and then say I'll check for assertions as well. Okay, I'll leave it. Now the prefix, say the first thing is say rediff home, right? The first link is rediff home. So what we'll be doing is that we'll be automating for rediff home, and say we want to request filter requests. So now in the JMeter we have a suggested excludes option as well. Yesterday I told you how to add manually add the excludes. We can use a suggested excludes as well. So over here, see, it is excluding BMP file, CSS file, JS file, GIF file, .ico file, JPEG file, okay, PNG file, SWF file, WFF file, and WFF2 file. So these files are not needed in JMeter. Okay, we don't need these files. Okay, so we will be ignoring all these files, and say now I'll start this script recorder. Okay, a quick recap, if we have made any mistake or not. So see, we have not made any mistake. We'll be recording HTTP client 4. Now this is the latest HTTP client. So this is not used in the early versions. HTTP client 3 was also there. Okay, now our browsers use HTTP client 4 only. So this is the only option available. Okay, now see, we'll be starting this script recorder. It has started. Now the first thing we have to do is rediff.com. Okay, and if you notice over here, it has started recording things. So rediff home, right? So rediff home, and it has recorded these things. Okay, so after this, the next thing we have to do is say we'll be changing the variable names over here. Say rediff home has already loaded, so say rediff money. So we'll be clicking on money now, and just a second. Okay, so rediff money, and I've clicked on rediff money. And it has been taking a bit time to load. In the meantime, we will check over here. See, it has started recording the script for rediff money. Okay, so say in this controller, you will be able to see the request for rediff money, and it is in between adding Mozilla also. So we'll be deleting the requests related to Mozilla, and see money.rediff.com. This is what has been requested by rediff.com. Okay, say after this page, what we have to do is we have to click on my portfolio. So before that, I'll be providing that detail over here. Say Rediff, now say my portfolio. Okay, so my portfolio. Now over here you have to provide your credentials. So the credentials are, you have to create your own credentials. I won't be able to share my credentials, but you can see my credentials. But see, don't change the passwords and all, because I won't be able to teach you further if you do change those credentials. Okay, so Ashish Thakur 1983. Okay, and I'll click continue. Okay, so before that, what I'll be doing is that now I've opened my portfolio. Now say I'll mark it as, say, login, and say I'll provide user name. Okay, so over here I've provided the username, and the username has been recorded now. Okay, you can see over here login username. Now login password. Okay, so password. Okay, so I have provided the password as well, and I'll click continue, and it has logged in. Okay, now if I see over here, it has logged me in, and it has recorded the password as well. Now the third thing, that is create portfolio. Okay, so now we are creating a new portfolio. Okay, and say over here I'll click on create and say JMeter day 3 trial. Okay, and I'll click on create portfolio. So now it might have recorded few things. Okay, and let the portfolio be created. Okay, and it has been created now, and you can see the portfolio has been created, and it has been reflecting as JMeter day 3 trial. Okay, now over here if you see now, okay, I'll stop the recorder now. This is what we have to do, and now I know that we have a lot of requests over here, but if you notice over here, okay, the first thing was Rediff home, then Rediff money, then my portfolio, then login username, and then password, and then create new portfolio. So over here there are many things. We just need one thing, that is this. See, we don't need this detectportal.firefox.com, so I'll be deleting it. So over here Rediff home, we requested rediff.com, it got redirected to www.rediff.com. okay, so see the it is a duplicate request, so over here it has been disabled. Okay, so over here if you notice there are many requests. Okay, so over here if you see that this request has been generated to ads.rediff.com, this is the path, and it is containing some information, say location from where from where it has been redirected. If it was redirected from Google, it would be say showing this google.com over here. So these are the things they are capturing. So over here we don't need these things right now. So what I will be doing is that I will be disabling all these things. So the shortcut to disable is either you can right click over here and click disable, okay, or the other shortcut is select the files that you don't need. Okay, select the say items you don't need, and a simple way to disable them is, say we don't need all these things, we just need one thing. I'll be toggling, so I'll toggle it, and see now this one has become has been made available, and other things have been disabled. Okay, so Now I'll unexpand it, and it has ads, so we don't need them. I'll disable it also. And Rediff Home integrated ads, again we don't need them, so I'll disable it as well. Again ads, so we don't need them, so I'm not opening these because again it is all related to ads. We don't need ads. Okay, we don't need to do anything with ads right now. So in our scenario, what we have to do is we just have to record a scenario where we are logging in, and then we are say we are just opening the links, and then we are logging in and we are creating a new portfolio. Now the next thing we did was we opened Rediff Money. Okay, again it is related to ads, and we requested money somewhere over here. So see, money.rediff.com has been requested over here. Okay, before that it has not been requested anywhere. Let us just check whether it has been requested or not. Incoming ad service secure money.rediff.com. Okay, so see, this is the first request which has been sent to Rediff Money. Okay, other are ads, so we don't need them as well. I'll be disabling them. So the shortcut to disable them is the Control T. Okay, I don't want to disable my transaction controller, because if I disable this controller, then it would be automatically skipping all the samples inside it, samplers inside it. Okay, so all these are HTTP samples. Okay, this one is HTTP sampler, HTTP request sampler. So it is it is replicating a normal HTTP request, that is it is replicating the request that is being sent to the server. Okay, just like a browser, it is replicating that a browser is requesting this particular page. Now, just a minute. So over here again there are many things, and again we don't need the ads part, so I'll be disabling all these things. Okay, now again it is having some moneymetric.rediff.com. Okay, so we don't need it as well, so I'll be disabling this as well. And again it has some ads part, so I'll be disabling this as well. Okay, and now the my portfolio link. So we clicked my portfolio link, so it is replicating this thing. And if you notice over here, okay, it redirected us to portfolio login. We just clicked portfolio.rediff.com on the page, and it has redirected us to portfolio login, right? So now after this, again it is for ads, so let us just disable it. Now after clicking the portfolio link, what we did is we provided our login credentials. So see over here, these are the credentials I provided, right? So that is Ashish Thakur 1983 @rediffmail.com. Okay, see why it was in the older format. It was in the different format because of the link it has intercepted. Okay, when the request is being sent, all the special characters get changed into such characters. Okay, now over here, after providing the username, the next thing we did was we provided the password. And if you notice over here, the password is this. Okay, and I did not uncheck the remember me. So it has it has the option it is sending the data with it as that it should remember the user ID and the password. Okay, so other things we don't need them right now, so I'll be disabling all the other things. Say this thing and this thing. Okay, done. See, it is all money metric, so we don't need these. Okay, and second toggle, and now again it is something related to portfolio company, and we don't need it right now as well. Okay, so I'll be disabling it. And now see, create new portfolio. So over here we created a new portfolio, and if you notice over here, we provided the portfolio name as JMeter trial day 3. Okay, so portfolio, and see JMeter date 3 trial. Okay, we created portfolio over here. So what I'll do is that I'll just disable each and everything. Okay, just a minute, let us just check where if we have say clicked something, so it might have recorded that thing as well. Okay, and okay, it hasn't. So this one is that is 189. I'll disable all other. Okay, so control T, and say after this we don't need anything as well. So it is generating a portfolio ID. Okay, so we'll be getting those things also, but why to provide them right now? Okay, so this thing. Now the next thing is it has just created it, so nothing more than that. So if you notice over here, the steps are home, money, then inside money, let me just unexpand everything. Okay, so now see home, after that money, then again there is something money telemetric, then why it is twice? Okay, it has not been disabled. Control T. Okay, so we're going to home, then we are going to money, and after that we're going to my portfolio, then we are providing the credentials, and then we are logging in, and then we are creating a new portfolio, right? Now if I directly run this, okay, say if I want to run this directly, what I have to do is I have to go to this right click over this test plan, and I have to add a thing that is listener, okay, and that is view results tree. Okay, now I can run this, and to run this is the button, that is start button, and it is asking me to save, so I'll be saving it, and it will be JMeter JMeter day 3, say day 3 lecture. Okay, so see it has generated the request, and if you notice over here, Redef home, then over here in the request, if you notice over here, Redef home, it has sent data to Redef, then Redef money, then a little bit data to Redef money, and then my portfolio, it got redirected, so it is providing all the details. Okay, say after this it is providing username. Okay, so post data is this thing, and then it is trying to log in. Okay, and say this thing, the ID is this and the password is this. Okay, and it is logging in. So over here, see, after logging in, it is redirecting to portfolio. Okay, and then say this thing, it is logging in. Okay, and say after that, create new portfolio, and this is the sampler. So over here, it is all again redirecting. Now see, I have run the script, but if you notice over here, nothing has been created because it is already there. So what I'll be doing is that I'll be changing a few things. Say over here, create new portfolio. Okay, say we'll provide some other name because this name already exists. Say lecture. Okay, so now I'll be running it, and let us just see whether it has been created or not. Okay, so JMeter day 3 trial lecture, and I'm refresh it because I think so the execution has been completed. Yeah, it has been completed. Okay, and just a minute. Okay, so browser is not opening. Okay. So the scenario was I'll open portfolio directly. sorry. So see, the scenario is we have to create a new portfolio. We'll just check whether the portfolio has been created properly or not, and say this thing. And say Ashish Thakur 1983 and say okay, so let us just see whether, see, it has not created that portfolio, right? Then there is some problem. Okay, so in the coming lectures we will be checking about the problem, and we'll be checking the we'll be creating the solution for that problem. Right now I'll tell you about the problem. So the problem over here is, see, it is logging in. Okay, and say this thing over here, we are clicking this and then we are providing credentials and then we are creating new portfolio. Now the problem is there is some data that is being sent to rediff.com with the request. Okay, we have just recorded the request, so there is there is no dynamic data going with the request, say over here. And say after, while logging in as well, if you notice over here, like we saw something dynamic with the request. So in the create new portfolio there was, right, this is some dynamic data. I don't know what number it is, what number it should be while creating a new portfolio, right? This needs to be changed. So now what we will be doing is that we will be automating, we'll be recording scenario manually. So what I'll do is that I'll create a new test plan, sorry, a new file. Okay, and say over here I'll be adding a new thread group. So say rediff, or it's better to open the last one and we'll create that over there as only. Say day 3 lecture and no. Okay, so I'll name it as recorder, and we don't need the test script recorder now, so I'll be deleting it, or let it be like this. And now we need one more thread group. Say this one is a thread group, and say this thing, and I'll name it as manual now. So we'll be recording those things only that we need. Okay, say the first thing we need is we need to generate the request for rediff.com, right? So I'll be opening developer options over here. The shortcut to open developer options is F12 key on the keyboard or Control Shift I. Okay, these are the two shortcuts that that need to be used for opening developer options in Chrome or almost any browser. Okay, so see, now this network activity recorder has been visible to us. I'll request rediff.com. It will be generating few requests, and see, the needed request is this. Okay, we don't need other requests. So in general, I'll expand general. Okay, I'll be copying this thing. So the requested URL is okay. So before that, what I'll be doing is that I'll be adding a logic controller, say the transaction controller. Now I told you about two types of controller yesterday, that is simple controller and the transaction controller. Okay, both of them are almost same. The difference is we can generate parent sample in the transaction controller, and we can include the duration of timer in pre and post processors in generated sample. But in the case of simple controller, we are just grouping grouping few samplers. So, now you'll be having a question in your mind that what is pre and post processor, and what is the new use of this. So we'll be studying about them in the later lectures, but these are something which are used to pre-process or post-process some data. Okay, so we'll not be studying about it right now. We'll be studying about it in the coming lectures. Okay, so over here I'll be using transaction controller. Okay, and say over here in this transaction controller I'll name it as, say, home. Okay, say Rediff home, and say I'll be adding a new sample, that is HTTP request sampler, right? And over here, just a second. Okay, sorry for inconvenience. So see over here, the server name is rediff.com. Okay, and now the request type is, the protocol is HTTP. Say this thing, this thing protocol, and say port number, will leave it empty because we don't need to provide port number, just because the request is on 88, sorry, HTTP port, and see the port number is 80. So by default the port number is 80, so we don't need to provide it. Okay, if the port if it is using HTTPS, then we need to provide the port number according to that. Or sometimes what happens is, some websites run on not usually run on port 80, they usually run on some other port. So in that case we have to provide that port number. Okay, now over here, see, we have this, we don't need to provide other things. So say rediff home. Okay, now the next thing, that is transaction controller, and I'll name it as rediff money. Okay, so over here we'll be having rediff money. Now I'll be creating a new sampler over here, that is HTTP request sampler. I'll be copying the name and say this thing. Now we'll be clicking rediff money. So I'll be clicking rediff money, and if you notice over here, see, it has intercepted many things over here. See, it has intercepted this thing, and okay, and this thing. Okay, so we'll be using this particular request. It has few things. Okay, the only things we need is the port number. Now if you notice over here, the protocol has changed and the port number has changed, so we have to provide these details as well. So port number is 443, and say the other details are money.rediff.com. so money.rediff.com. Okay, and say the protocol is HTTPS now, so we have to provide the protocol as well. Okay, so we have provided these details, that is protocol, server name and the port number. So now what we'll be doing is, we there is no other data being sent with the request, so just this. Now the third thing, that is, after after clicking money, we have to click portfolio. So my portfolio. Okay, so my portfolio, and now over here I'll be creating a new sampler, that is HTTP request. I'll copy this name. Okay, so we'll be replicating request to now like this my portfolio. I'll be clicking my portfolio over here. So my portfolio, it will be recording few things, say this thing. So I'll be recording this thing only for my portfolio. Now if you notice over here, the URL has changed a bit. Okay, so I'll be recording this thing for that. Say this thing. Okay, the port number is 443. Say this thing, and now a different part, that is, we have now a sub page inside this, that is portfolio. So over here we have to provide the path. Okay, that is portfolio. The protocol is HTTPS. Okay. Right now, while clicking portfolio, we are not providing any data. So let it be like this. Now the next thing, that is the main thing, and I'll be creating a new, say, transaction controller. I'll be naming it as login and say user name. Okay, or let's just log in. We don't need to provide username again. Okay, username again and again. So say we'll be clear. See, we are providing some details over here. Say Ashish Thakur 1983. Okay, I'll click continue. I'll provide the password. It is checking and it has asked me for password now. Say okay, so this thing, and now I'll click continue. The moment I'll click continue, it will be recording my username and password. Okay, and do login. Okay, so it has vanished. Okay, I have to sign out, and I'll tell you why. Because see, now there is one thing that we need to do is over here we have the option for preserve log. Okay, if you don't preserve log, it will be like deleting all the log when the page changes. So now just a minute, say Thakur 1983 and say we are logging in now. Okay, so if you notice over here, the request is being sent to do login, and where it is now. Okay, so this is do login, right? So it is sending some data. Okay, it is sending the username and the password. So what we'll be doing is that we will be replicating the request to this. Okay, so over here I'll be adding a HTTP request sampler. Okay, say the request has been sent to this. Now the next thing, that is the path. So the path is this. Okay, and say the path is this. Then the main thing, the port number is this, and the port protocol is HTTPS. Okay, sorry, my bad, I made this mistake. Okay, now the main thing. Okay, you notice over here the request method is post, so we have to change the request method to post. Okay, now the other thing, that is the data. If you notice over here, it has an option for form data. So we have to view source, and what we'll do is that we'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Okay, so I'll click add from clipboard, and it has recorded everything. Okay, say the password is, sorry, the username is this, and again the password is having this. Okay, so now it is logging in, and say I'll name it as login. After logging in, what we have to do is we have to create a new portfolio. Say create new portfolio, right? So we'll be creating a new portfolio over here now. Say we have logged in, I'll be clicking on create. Okay, and I'll just delete clear all the log right now. Okay, and I'll provide some name, say my dummy port. Okay, and I'll click on create portfolio. It will be generating some request, and see, it has generated a lot of requests. So the request which was sent to this is this. Okay, So now we'll be recording this request. So this thing, and I'll be recording this thing as well over here. Okay, so the server name is this. Everything is almost same. The request name is this. Sorry, the path is this. Okay, and then the port number is 80. We don't need to provide the port number. We just have to provide the protocol. So I'll be providing the protocol. Okay, and the method is post. Okay, so over here the method should be post, and the main thing, that is the data. So the data is which is being sent over here is this. So I'll be copying this and I'll paste it over here. I'll remove, say I'll change this my dummy portfolio. Okay, and say let it be like this right now. Okay, and now we'll be sending this request. Okay, so I created a sampler again directly. So I'll be creating a new transaction controller, and then I'll be putting it inside the transaction controller. Okay, so now if I run this, and we need view results tree over here, so it is there. It will be recording that thing as well. Say it will be recording twice because see I did not disable this. So let us just do one thing. I'll clear it and I'll disable it. Okay, so this thing, and now I'll run it, and see it is sending request to Redif home and then the sampler. Okay, now one more thing, we have transaction controller, so we can generate a parent sample. So I'll be checking this thing over everywhere. Okay, and say this thing, so that we should be able to see only the sample like parent samples, and then we can expand them. So over here now, if you notice over here, there are parent samples only. The first one is Redif home. It is opening Redif home. Then we are going to Redif money. It is redirecting us. So see, it is redirecting. So it is, you know, showing two samples over here. Then my portfolio this, and say again it is redirecting. So it is this, the request has been forwarded to portfolio login. Okay, then we are logging in. We are like, you know, see over here in this logging in, we have some data, right? So the request is being sent to this, and then we are creating a new portfolio. Okay, over here we are creating a new portfolio and this thing. Okay, so over here now, over here if you see that, you know, we are like, you know, creating new dummy portfolio. Over here these are the same requests which got generated over here. Okay, these are the same requests, but these are the requests that I have like, you know, generated. I've recorded and generated. These are the requests which are recorded by the test script recorder. Okay, so sometimes it may record those things that we don't need, and you might be using them. It slows down everything. It increases the execution time. So it is suggested to create your own like, you know, requests manually, so that, you know what you are actually doing. Okay, but if you want to like, you know, record in a hurry, you can record them and you can just run them, but it is not suggested to do so. Okay, so this is for today's lecture, and I request you to try this at home and come up with the questions, like, you know, further questions, and try this yourself, because if you don't try this yourself, you won't be able to understand the concepts that we'll be discussing in the next lecture. Okay.